Welcome everybody, and may as well get started. Just to say, to begin with, after the talk there's a reception afterwards to which you're all invited upstairs. This is the fourth in the, you also, if you haven't seen this booklet, you want to take this booklet afterwards, which really gives the whole program. It's the fourth in the series for this term of security challenges in Southeast Europe and their changing geopolitical context. And really the topic here, energy dynamics in the Eastern Mediterranean, cooperation or conflict, it really does cover everything. I mean, there are security challenges and really the geopolitics, all of the issues really seem to come together on this subject. I mean, as you know, there have been big natural gas finds, Egypt and Israel, most recently then in Cyprus, and the issues then become who owns all these, how can they be got out, how can you transport them to Europe? And they're large amounts, potentially the natural gas could supply 10% of the gas of Europe, which affects therefore not only those countries but the other countries around, so Turkey, Greece, and also Russia, which at present supplies 37% of gas to Europe. And so everybody is involved, and there's potential for cooperation. This should be a win-win for everybody if you find gas, but in this region it could be a lose-lose. You have a situation where everyone sees each other, so everyone loses it, and certainly with the history of energy policies, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time there's a lose-lose. We're very lucky to have two experts in the field here to talk to us. On my right, who will talk first, is Bill Kappis, who is a lecturer at the Centre for Security and Intelligence Studies at the University of Buckingham. He has two master's degrees, one in strategic studies, one in European integration, at Australian National University and London School of Economics, respectively, postdoctoral research at the University of Tel Aviv. And his theoretical interests are in exactly this, strategic and psychological aspects of security crises and foreign policy decision-making. And his research highlights are on changing security dynamics in this area, also with an emphasis on US retrenchment and the re-emergence of Russia as a great power. On my left then is Dr. Okan Yardimci, and he is an academic visitor here. He lives in the annex to this building. He's a very select office mate of ours. He's been working for the Energy Market Regulation Authority of Turkey since 2006. Previously was a reservoir engineer in a French oil company. He has BSc degrees in petroleum and natural gas engineering from the Middle East Technological University in Turkey, an MBA from Atalim University in Turkey, been on the executive program in economics of regulation in Michigan State, and an LLM from Penn State, and a PhD in finance from Hacettepe University in Turkey. So anyway, we have two very good speakers who really know every part about the nuances of this.
Thank you very much, Ross, and I'd like to thank the two conveners, Julie Adams, the other CISOX team for their contribution to this great panel. The question is not easy, whether a cooperation or conflict is expecting within the framework of the energy dynamics in the region. I'd rather not to answer this question, but I prefer to give you the facts, and I believe you will figure out what's going on there. What we have in our basket, the first one is the Aegean dispute between Turkey and Greece for a long time. The second one is the Cyprus conflict, which has been ongoing for more than 5 decades. As Bill mentioned, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone disputes in the Eastern Mediterranean between some states, plus objections, in a conclusion of that disputes, objections to maritime boundary agreements. There are several overlaps, as Bill mentioned. And there are some minor disputes as well in the region, such as even between Greek Cyprus and Israel about the Aphrodite field. I will mention a little bit about them. But yeah, these are the serious conflicts, disputes. But literally, I would be hopeful for a solution, and hydrocarbon resources could play a key role for a cooperative solution. And the context is obvious: the international law, bilateral agreements, multilateral agreements. If no agreement can be reached, then International Court of Justice or Arbitral Tribunal by the littoral states, plus UK, of course, as a guarantor state in the Cyprus. On the other hand, we have some more in our basket, such as Syria and Libya unrest, and this causes an intervention of other states, plus exploration activities, auctions, licenses, seismic and drilling activities, and this brings the intervention of international oil and gas companies. And we all know that with the new parties, they come to the table with their own interests, and these interventions extends the problem beyond the littoral states, and to be honest, diminish the cooperative solution possibilities. This is the first fact I would like to share. The second one is the unilateral actions in the region, and it technically unpractical and economically unfeasible projects such as EastMed, and some exclusionary approach such as EastMed Forum. So these are not also working for a cooperative solution as well. In this figure, I would like to share the production and consumption of natural gas in and around the Eastern Mediterranean. The yellow bars shows the production figures from 2016 to 2018, whereas the red bars shows the consumption of natural gas from the same for the same years. As you can see, Turkey consumes around 50 BCM, million cubic meter natural gas in a year, and there's a yellow bar can be seen here. Unfortunately, Turkey imports around 99% of the natural gas, mainly from Russia. And the oil figures are similar. Around 94-95% of oil is imported from the other states. So Turkey pays around $40 billion every year for this import dependency, which equals around nearly the same as the current account deficit of Turkey. So we can see the other states' consumption here, relatively low, but there's another one. Egypt is in an increasing trend, and there's a deal with Israel for to supply this increase, and Israel has another deal with Jordan for natural gas sale and purchase. As you can see, Italy is far from EastMed and close to Algeria with an excess gas, and Russian cheap gas. Another project, Trans-Sahara, is also aiming to sell Italy. So as Italian foreign minister says, it's not practical to sell EastMed gas to Italy. So by this figure, we can easily see that Turkey can be the final route for the EastMed gas, also a route to Europe for the Eastmed gas. This is the other fact. And this infographic shows us the latest gas discoveries and sharing in the Eastern Mediterranean. The size of this, by the way, let me tell you, yeah, the size of this box represents 50 BCM, the yellow box, which equals to Turkish yearly consumption of natural gas. And we can see this box is the Aphrodite field, and mainly under Cyprus zone, some lies in the Israel zone, so there is a dispute because of that. Tamar field of Israel, Leviathan field of Israel. You can see how much reservoir are we talking about, and Zohr field of Egypt. And the colors represents the states, the companies. The green ones are the Israeli companies, the orange ones are the American companies, red ones are the British Dutch companies, ENI is an Italian company, Rosneft, Russian, and Abu Dhabi companies are sharing the latest gas discoveries. And there are some other companies trying to get some shares, such as Turkish Petroleum is operating there, Total, another French company, and ExxonMobil is an American company also working in the region. So what's the value of this whole picture? Around $400 million with the current natural gas market price, $400 million. Of course, these reserves are suspicious. We are suspicious about it because we are in the early development of the fields. We need to drill more in order to understand whether the gas is there or not. But just for comparison, Libya's, as we mentioned, Libya's gas reserves and proved gas reserves equals to the total of this whole picture. So in an international scale, it's not a big resource, but for the regional scale, yes, it's a big source. This is the other fact. And in this map, you can see the location of the fields. Tamar field is here, Leviathan, Zohr, Aphrodite, and the latest discovery of ExxonMobil, Glaucus discovery. So from and you can see some numbers from 1 to 13 are the licenses granted by Greek Cypriots, and the letters A to G are the licenses granted by the Turkish Cypriots, so Turkish Petroleum Company. And Greek Cypriots license are granted to the international companies. And the green boxes are the licensed areas that are granted by Turkey to the Turkish Petroleum Company as well. So you can see some overlaps coming from the, of course, claims of the continental shelf, and we will talk about what are the claims and why this overlap occurred in the region. And another dispute, as I mentioned, is Cyprus. Has been ongoing for more than 5 decades. What's Turkish perspective, Ankara perspective for Cyprus? Securing the rights of the Turkish Cypriots, plus Turkey says there isn't a single authority. I mean, Greek Cyprus administration of Southern Cyprus is not the authority that represents the whole island. That is Turkish perspective. And what Turkish Cypriots say, we have some rights here coming from Zurich and London agreements in 1959, 1960. So for the hydrocarbon reserves, let's sit on the table together and develop the hydrocarbon. Let's plan how we will develop. That was the offer given in 2010 first, and the last offer was given in July 2019, last year. I believe that was a good opportunity for a comprehensive solution in the island. We missed an opportunity in 2004 when Kofi Annan plan was rejected, and we missed another opportunity when that offer was rejected as well, because hydrocarbon resources could play a leverage role for a comprehensive solution as well. I mean, not only developing the hydrocarbon resources, but also a comprehensive solution for the whole picture. So this is the other fact. So what's the main dispute between the states? Here is the theoretical drawing. I drew it to explain better. the disputed issue. Here's state A has the mainland A and state B has the mainland B. So as Bill mentioned, the states has the same sovereignty as they have in their in the territorial waters as they have in their mainlands. What about the sea? According to United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea, states can claim up to 200 nautical miles exclusive economic zone. So what's the difference between continental shelf and exclusive economic zone? Exclusive economic zone covers water, whereas continental shelf just the soil. So if the length is narrower than 400 nautical miles, the states should sit on the table together and determine the maritime jurisdiction together. So in our case, unfortunately, it is less than 400 nautical miles. So in this picture, it is easy because the maritime boundary delimitation is in the middle line between two states. So by this way, the sharing in the sea will be 50-50. But unfortunately, in life, nothing is easy. So we have some islands. Let's assume that there are two islands close to the midline that belongs to the state A, and one around 10 square kilometer in the zone of the territorial water of the state B. So what should be the delimitation? Will it be the gray line, green line, or will it be the black one as state A would like to have? If it will be the black one, the sharing will be 80 to 20. So Greece would like to suggest this one. And what about the red one? If it will be the red one, the sharing will be 55 to 45. And Turkey would like to see the red one. So this is the problem. What's Turkey's claim? Turkey says islands and the mainlands could not have the same importance while we are determining the maritime jurisdiction because of the coastal lengths. And the second claim is that if an island lies on the opposite side of the midline, as in this example, this island, it has a territorial water but no exclusive economic zone. This is the second approach of Turkey. On the other hand, Greece approaches this. Islands have the same priority, importance that has the mainlands. So this is the disputed issue in the both agency and the Eastern Mediterranean. And our real case is similar to my drawing. Here's the agency, here's the Eastern Mediterranean. If you draw a hypothetical line between agency and Eastern Mediterranean, there is an island, as Bill mentioned, just very close, 2 kilometers to the Turkish coast, which is called as Kızılhisar or Mace in Turkish, Kastellaruzzi or Megisti in Greek. So Greek name is biggest, and it has a really big effect in Turkish approach, Greek approach to the disputed issue. So it has an area around 10 square kilometer, and distance to Turkish mainland is 2 kilometers, and population is around 400. And its claim is 40,000 square kilometer of exclusive economic zone. And according to this, this is the red one, what Greece, Athena would like to see as an exclusive economic zone, and this is the area of the exclusive economic zone, hypothetical exclusive economic zone of Cyprus according to Greek Cyprus. So the remaining part is this left to Turkey. And Greek Cyprus had some agreements to support their claim. The first agreement was done with Egypt in 2003 and put the maritime jurisdiction boundary between Greek Cyprus and Egypt. The second one was between Lebanon in 2007, but this agreement has never been ratified by Lebanon Parliament because of a dispute, as Bill mentioned, between Lebanon and Israel, because there is an overlap between the starting point of Lebanon and ending point of Israel. So there is a disputed area around 850 square kilometer on the exclusive economic zone. And Lebanon's notification to UN is different than the agreement between Greece and Lebanon in 2007. And last year, Greek Cyprus gave a notification to UN in order to complete the whole picture by giving a notification between Turkey and the island to determine the northern and western part of the islands. So there's only an overshaded zone, which is the UK basis, whether they have an exclusive economic zone right or not. We can talk about it in the Q&A session, I believe, if you are interested. So by this way, Greek Cyprus complete the whole picture here, and as I said, Athens' exclusive economic zone claim is this one. So what Turkey believes, from A to B points, Turkey has an agreement between with the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, not according to the equidistance, but as you can see, it is closer to the island because of the length of the coast of Turkey and island is different. And as Bill mentioned, last year, Turkey had an agreement between Libya according to the equidistance midline approach, which is E to F. So there are some overlaps in regards of the continental shelf by this way. And Turkey supports her claim by some international cases. I categorize these cases in three groups. The first one shows us if an island lies on the wrong side or on the other side of the midline, what the court said for these cases. The first case is France, Canada, arbitral award in 1992. As you can see, a French island is very close to Canada. They agreed on a territorial water, 12 nautical mile territorial water, in 1972. But two states couldn't have an agreement for the exclusive economic zone. Then went to the ad hoc arbitral center, and what arbitral center award was, it was a narrow corridor, extremely narrow, and around 180 nautical mile length. This picture shows better. This is the Canadian exclusive economic zone, and this is given to an island of French. Another case is Nicaragua Honduras International Court of Justice Award in 2007. This was the claim of Honduras, this was the claim of Nicaragua, and these are the islands. And the Court of Justice said, okay, here is the bisector line, and the Honduras islands lie on the opposite side of the midline. So what the court judged, court said, okay, here is the partial enclave zone for the islands. This is the second case that supports Turkish claims for maize. And the third case is Italy-Tunisia agreement on the continental shelf in 1971. This is not a court decision, this is an agreement that Italy and Tunisia agreed on. Here is the equidistance line between Tunisia and Italy. According to the islands, this is the equidistance line. But what Italy would like to have, of course, this equidistance line. On the other hand, Tunisia says, no, these are the islands that cannot have the same importance as the mainland. So they agreed on this line. And according to this agreement, this area is given to Tunisia regarding the exclusive economic zone. And another partial enclave zone which lies on the other side of the midline. The fourth one, Nicaragua, Colombia, similar. Colombia is here, Nicaragua is here. As you can see, there are enclave zones. And France, United Kingdom. There are two islands here. One of them is Sicily Island, the second one is Channel Island. A partial effect is given by International Court of Justice in 1977. This is the equidistance line. This is the adjusted line that the court decided. And as you can see, a partial effect is given to Sicily Island, and no effect to the Channel Islands because it is on the wrong side, or we can say in the opposite side of the midline. But the court gave an enclave zone for the Channel Islands, which belongs to United Kingdom. So these first categories showed the Turkish claims, support the Turkish claims on the Mace Island. And the second category is what should be the delimitation between Turkey and Cyprus Island. So there is another case which is very similar. Malta is an island state, and Libya, they couldn't reach an agreement and went to an International Court of Justice in 1985. And what court decided? Okay, here is the equidistance line, here is the middle line between two states, but I need to adjust this middle line to here, I need to move this middle line to here, because I need to take into consideration the disparity in the lengths of the relevant coasts. So this was the court decision in 1985, and this area is given to Libya by this award. And the third category is explaining us if the islands are on the correct side, I mean, not on the wrong side, but on the correct side of the midline, what the court decided. So the first case is between Romania and Ukraine, International Court of Justice in 2009. Certain islands, Ukraine islands, and what Ukraine wanted, of course, this blue line. On the other hand, Romania claimed the red line. Because from the Ukraine perspective, an island has to have an exclusive economic zone similar to the Romanian coast, and they went to the International Court of Justice. And what was the decision of the International Court of Justice? A partial effect is given to the certain islands, and this is the award for this case. The second case, Tunisia, Libya, Kerkenna Island belongs to Tunisia, and this is the equidistance line between Tunisia and Libya according to the islands. And a partial effect again is given to the Kerkenna Island, and court draw this line, and it's called as a half effect or half angle in the court decision. And there's some more, I believe. Yeah, Eritrea Yemen case is similar. A partial effect is given for the Yemen's islands. So according to these court awards and arbitration tribunals and international agreements, Turkey draw maritime frontiers from A to B is an equidistance between Turkey and Syria. From B to C, not an equidistance, but also take into consideration the coast lengths of mainland and Cyprus island. And this is an agreement between Turkey and Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. And C to D is an hypothetical line here, but similar base, I mean similar assumption. A coast of mainland has more importance than an island. And from D to F are the equidistance line between Turkey and Egypt, and F to G is an equidistance line between Turkey and Libya, and agreed on 2019. But this area, the western terminal point, will be determined according to the future discussions between the littoral states, which are Turkey, Libya, and Greece. And this will go through the agency as well. So this is Turkish claims on the Eastern Mediterranean dispute, and Turkey purchased the first drill ship, ultra water drill ship, in 2000, at the end of 2017, and the operation started in 2018. The name of the drill ship was Fatih. The first well location was here. Then Fatih moved to here for the second well. Turkey purchased the second drill ship, Yavuz, and started the first operation here. And at that area, as I said, the licenses are granted by Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, and Yavuz moved to here. Then Fatih moved to this area for the third well of Fatih, and now Yavuz is located in this zone, which is very close to Aphrodite, very close to Zor, and this makes a little bit more tension in the recent days, as you know. And Fatih moves to here in Silifke, waiting for the next destination. So Turkey is drilling her 6th well in the region, and have 2 more ships, seismic survey wells, Oruç Reis and Barbaros Hayrettin Pasha are also working in the region. And I would like to show you some pictures of the ships, and I will end my presentation. I'm looking forward to your questions and discussion session. That's why I speed up. These are the seismic vessels, Barbaros Hayrettin Pasha and Oruç Reis, and supply vessels. Fatih drill ship and supply ships, Korkut Sancar and Altan. And finally, Yavuz drill ship, Ertuğrul, Orhan, Osman. Of course, it's an expensive operation, not only purchasing the drill ships, but also operational expenditures are very high, escorting with lots of supply ships, plus naval, of course, are escorting these ships. So it's an expensive operation, I can say. So this is all I would like to say. As I said, I'm looking forward to your questions and comments. Thank you.